What is going on YouTube? I'm Lamont at large. Today we are at the Mount Olivet Catholic Cemetery here in Dickinson, Texas. The first grave I'm going to visit is that of Laura Miller. On September 10th, 1984, Laura Miller had went to a convenience store to use the payphone to call her friend. Her family, I believe, had just moved to the area and there was no phone service yet. So she went to that place just to call her friend to see what was going on. And on that day, that was the last time she was seen. Her body was found about a year and a half later in the area of Texas, where along with 29 or 30 some odd other victims' bodies have been dumped. This area of Texas, it's a little bit south of here. It's called the Killing Fields. I actually did a video about this story. I'll put the link in the description box of this video. Resulting from her death, Laura's dad, Tim, started a search and rescue operation called Texas EquiSearch. They often help with finding people that have gone missing, search and rescue, such of that nature. And this is her grave right here. Now, the death date on the stone is not the actual death date because she went missing September 10th, 1984. They don't know when she was killed, but I assume it was right around there. And that is the date that they actually found her body. And her father believes the man responsible for her murder is Clyde Hedrick, who was in prison on another unrelated murder of Ellen Beeson. And that bastard, we don't know how many murders he's responsible for, but Tim believes that he killed his daughter, Laura, here. And he is currently out. He is at some kind of a halfway house here in Houston. So if you ever see that ugly bastard, be very, very careful, because he's probably a rapist and a murderer. When I first came to this cemetery a couple of years back, this was the first stone that I really noticed in the whole cemetery. It looks quite a bit different than any other one that I've seen out here. And of course, this is Patrick Lind. I believe his last name is pronounced Zadow, and he was an architect. He had taken a drafting class in high school, and he loved it. He said, "This is what I want to do. I want to build things." And he later went to Louisiana Tech and got a BA in architecture and I believe arts. And for 25 years, he worked at a job being an architect, and that's really all I know about him, but I really do love this grave for sure. This is actually quite stunning, to say the least. I miss you every day. I hope somehow you still feel all the love you have here on earth, even though you are no longer here. Their daughter died in a car accident. Zachary Nathan, I believe the last name is pronounced Juelich or Juelich, November 21st, 1996 to November 3rd, 2014, 3 weeks before he was to turn 18 years old, and he died in a car accident. He was heading down 35, and from what it says online, he ran a red light and he ran into a Chevy Tahoe, and he was ejected, and he died at the scene. They said he wasn't wearing a seatbelt, and they were saying if he wore a seatbelt, more than likely he probably would have lived. And he was on his way, believe, home from a volleyball game. And this is not at all to say that anything that this young man did was his fault. I just want to let everybody know, especially younger people. I don't know how many people his age watch my channel. Sometimes I feel this channel's geared towards like more older people or people around my age. But, when you're a teenager, you think you're young and you're invincible and stuff like that. And, it very, very sad to die in a way which the death was needless. And, someone very close to me died in a similar fashion. So I can never stress enough, guys, please be careful on the roads. Just please be careful. Please pay attention to your surroundings in your environment at all times. Please also put your seatbelt on. Even if you're just going down the street for 5 minutes, put it on. All right, rest in peace to this young man, and condolences to his mom and dad. Ruben G. Herrera, December 18th, 1949 to September 29th, 1979. Only you and I know our love for you will never die. Ruben was driving in his vehicle, and he had went off the road and crashed into a drainage canal, and he drowned in his vehicle. He was not able to get out, and he's buried alongside of his parents. Dr. Dale E. Steele, doctor of dental surgery, July 19th, 1935 to May 19th, 1970. This man took his own life. He was taking or overdosed off of secobarbital, which is often used for either people who have trouble sleeping, maybe they have insomnia, or he would be using that in his practice to put patients under before conducting any procedures that they're in his office for. There is often many different reasons why murders occur. The ultimate sin of murder has been taking place ever since the days of Cain and Abel. It is a crime that unfortunately has impacted many, many people's lives, and there's all kinds of different reasons why people commit that act. Over money, over love, over revenge, jealousy. Sometimes it's planned, sometimes it's done in the heat of the moment. And for one, Lucy Bertrand, 33 years of age, some of those mitigating factors take place in this very crime story. So around August 8th of 2018, police were called to a house on the 2900 block of Vance Avenue down in Texas City, which is about 15 miles north of Galveston. When police arrived, they found Lucy Bertrand on the floor. She had been pistol whipped and stabbed to death. Immediately, homicide detectives come to the scene and start conducting their investigation. Now, at first, it looks to appear to be a home invasion. There's stuff all over the floor. Looked like the robbers were just going through drawers. Her jewelry was missing. Her phone was gone, and so was her purse. So this looks like a home invasion gone totally wrong. Well, after investigators start digging more into the story, come to find out this is no simple home invasion. No, this was a premeditated murder that was planned by her own friend, 37-year-old Amy Medina. Now, Amy Medina was arrested on an unrelated warrant, and while she was sitting in the Galveston County Jail, she was charged with the murder of her own friend. Now, after homicide, doing more interviews, come to find out a story and a reason of why this murder took place. Now, it was found out later that a man by the name of Corey Thomas McCrae, 19 years of age, was in on this crime. And along with him, his 17-year-old girlfriend, Cindy Esquivel, who happened to be Amy's daughter. So this murder trial still has not taken place yet, 4 years after her murder, but it is believed, in theory, that Amy thought that Lucy somehow was stealing from her, and this was an act of revenge, and she planned this to look and stage it to look like a home invasion. Corey beat this poor young woman with a gun while Amy's daughter, Cindy, stabbed her to death. Currently, right now, Cindy and Corey are in the Galveston County Jail. They're still awaiting trial on her murder. And I don't know if Amy is in Galveston County Jail or a different jail, because her bail was $250,000. So it appears that she has bailed out on this case. So she possibly could be free. Or she bailed out and she is in jail somewhere else on the unrelated warrant that she was previously taken in on. I don't know yet. But approaching 4 years and no trial yet. So I don't know if the shutdowns have probably postponed this trial, because usually trials, there's no way they take this long. Whatever happened between Lucy and Amy, there was no reason for this to have taken place. I hope justice is served very quickly for those scumbags involved who took this poor lady's life, and she left behind 3 kids. And Lucy's mother, this is the second child that she's had to bury, because she had a son who was also murdered, and his murder remains unsolved. My wife, Claudia Jean Wells, July 12th, 1946 to November 20th, 1968. And she is buried along with her son, James Edward Wells, who died along with his mother. He was only just 2 years old when they both died. They were at home and they were asphyxiated. It was due to a faulty gas heater. And it looks like When her husband came home, he found both of them dead. This is Kelsey Michelle Nalepa, July 30th, 2008 to April 8th, 2017. Kelsey was riding in the back seat with her parents when they were slammed in from behind by somebody that should not have been on the road, somebody that was impaired, somebody who killed this little girl. Her name, Erica Dibell. Police say when they took her to the hospital, they took blood from her, and when it was tested, it was 3 times the legal limit. During an interview, she said she had 4 vodka shots in the hours leading up to the car crash. Now, Erica Dibell was charged with intoxication manslaughter. However, I do not know why the first trial ended in a hung jury. Prosecutors retried her again. Second trial ended in a mistrial. The defense for this woman claims that the officers bungled the blood sample somewhere along the lines, and they convinced a jury of her peers, 12 men and women, that the police somehow messed up their investigation. And instead of possibly trying her for a 3rd time, she took a deal and received 10 years of probation for taking this little girl's life. A woman that it would have been better for her to just go ahead and call an Uber. She will live with it for the rest of her life, what she did, taking this little girl away from her parents. Just an outright scumbag thing to do. If you're impaired, you know better than to get behind the wheel, and she chose to be irresponsible. Rest in peace. The next grave that we are going to be walking up to is that of one Teresa Venegas. The last time she was seen alive was Halloween night of 2006. At the time, Teresa was 16 years old, and she was a student at Dickinson High School. So on that night, there were several different Halloween parties in and around the area. There was a sighting of her at a Texaco gas station and another sighting of her at the Green K subdivision. That was 11 p.m. at night, and that would be the last documented sighting of Teresa. Now, some of her friends who were interviewed by detectives say that she was supposed to be meeting a guy online, a guy that she told her friends he was a little older than her, that he was 19 years old. Other people say that they seen her at one of the parties talking to a guy who looked to be, quote, older than her. Now, Teresa never showed up home that night. So the next day, the family, when they woke up, they noticed that Teresa was not there. Now, apparently, Teresa would go a couple days disappearing, staying at a friend's house, and it was kind of a normal thing. I guess her parents let her do that. But after she didn't show up, her parents got worried and they called the police, and 3 days later, her body was found. She was lying face down in a field, across a field from Dickinson High School. Her hair had been cut, and And when her body was taken to the morgue for autopsy, it was then found out that she was sexually assaulted. She was raped and murdered. Some form or fraction of DNA was found on the body, but as of the recording of this video, this is an unsolved murder. And during the funeral, it was also noticed that her hair had been cut, and she took great pride in having very, very long hair. So you have criminal profilers who would say that somebody cutting her hair like that could be like this attack was personal. Maybe possibly she knew her attacker, or leads me to believe maybe he wanted a trophy of some sort. 45 people have been interviewed about this girl's murder, but nothing yet. Nothing yet. If anybody has any information about Teresa's unsolved murder, please call the Galveston Crime Stoppers, 281-763-TIPS. That's 281-763-8477. This right here is Maxine Faget, and he's interred here along with his wife Nancy. Originally he was born in Belize, and he worked for NASA. He was a mechanical engineer, and back in the days when a rocket would go out into outer space and it would return, the design of it was kind of like a needle point. I guess they designed it in that way to reduce friction, but in that sense it would create a lot of heat, and that would of course damage the shuttle and be very dangerous for the men and or women aboard. So he redesigned their ships, and he was the one that redesigned it, starting with the Mercury probe, and he designed it in a way to where it had like kind of like a blunt type of like nose for re-entry into Earth's orbit. In that way it would reduce friction, and it would I guess it would take the heat and dissipate it. So a lot of astronauts owe their safety to this man's modern engineering, that is for sure. So I'm gonna conclude the video here. I just want to say I'm thankful to every and all out there who watch my channel, however you found me, and it never ceases to amaze me that a simple thing that I do, going to cemeteries, visiting crime scenes, me always being an acquisitive person, wondering what places look like. Whoever would have known that some people out there in the tubes of you share the same fascination with our dearly departed. Oftentimes, I've always wondered what people that are no longer here looked like. That poor woman up there, Louise Odenot, she died of a heart attack. And I've always just wondered how people died. And I guess you can call it a morbid curiosity. But as a kid, I would often go to cemeteries. I wouldn't go to them as often as I'm going to them now, but I did go to them, and I would just, we didn't have Google, so we didn't really know what happened. Maybe it would be word of mouth. And I've always just kind of wondered who they were as a person. Were they nice? Were they not nice? Were they an alcoholic? Were they good at sports? What was their opinion about world events? And I've always been drawn and fascinated to graves, and also, especially when it comes to pictures that people put on their graves. You look at them as they were alive, smiling, just like when we take pictures now. And just it's always been a fascination with me. So anyways, thank you for watching my video, and I'll see you on the next one. Live, but not live, but still alive by the grace of God. My name is Lamont Dorsey, and my channel is called Lamont at Large. And I will catch up with you on the next vlog. Peace out.